Am I the a-hole for not supporting my ex-husband and his wife after their many years of infertility? I, 30s female, have 3 children with my ex-husband Nick, aged 13, 12, and 9. We separated and later divorced when our youngest was only 4 months old. We divorced because Nick confessed he didn't love me and had only married me because I was pregnant with our oldest. He said he had been unable to develop any real feelings for me and could no longer pretend, as his unhappiness was growing by the day. I bring this up because I believe his lack of true feelings for me has led him to see me as unimportant and disposable when it comes to our kids. The reason I feel this way is because of how he and his wife Haley, 30s female, have treated me. We had only been divorced for a few weeks when Nick started bringing Haley to our kids' school events. We met at a school play, and they commented that Haley was getting ready for her role as a new mom. I thought they meant she was pregnant, but no, they meant she would be mom to my kids. Haley wanted to hold my youngest, and Nick told me they needed some mother-son bonding because she hadn't met the kids yet. Within weeks, they wanted me to delegate some parenting tasks to Haley, like school pickup and drop-off, or taking our oldest to dance lessons. My kids barely knew her. They weren't even living together yet. Nick told me it was important to make space for Haley as a mom. I told him she would be a stepmom, but I am their mom. Nick's response was that, at their house, Haley would be mom, and that the kids deserved a mom and dad parental unit instead of divorced parents. He even said Haley would be a better mom than I ever could be. After that, Haley began calling me a B whenever she saw me, saying I was insecure for not wanting to take second place to her. Nick later took me back to court to request primary custody and was denied. I went back with proof that they were trying to push me out. Nick even tried to remove me from the school contact list and replace me with Haley before they were even married. The court removed Nick from legal decision-making after that stunt and warned them about excluding me from school or medical decisions. When they finally married, they scheduled the wedding during my parenting time and demanded the kids attend. I refused to give up a week with my kids, and the judge later ruled that I had been reasonable in my offers to compromise, while Nick had not. The kids call her Haley. This bothers Nick and Haley because the kids prefer me. They've tried to say that's due to parental alienation, not because the kids resent being pressured to call Haley mom or spend Mother's Day with her instead of me. Apparently, they've been trying to have children for years, but Haley is infertile. Nick told me through our co-parenting app that they wanted to take the kids to Canada for a month to visit Haley's family. I said no and sent him the parenting agreement, which clearly states neither parent is obligated to give up time. I saw them last week at my youngest school show. The kids didn't hug Haley, and afterward, Nick and Haley accused me of not supporting her relationship with the kids. They said all her years of infertility should make me more compassionate and willing to help. I dismissed it. I don't feel I owe them that. I just wanted to check if people think I behaved improperly. Legally, I'm fine. I'm not asking for legal advice. But am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole at all. Your ex-husband is out of his mind, and so is his wife. She's sterile? Sucks for her. That has nothing to do with you. Not your fault. Nothing you can do. Those are your children. She is not their mother. Those people need mental help. Not only that, them trying to force the kids to see their stepmom as their mom, and them trying to replace their mom, is alienating the kids. The most likely outcome is that as each child turns 18, they quit going to dad's place. As adults, they can opt out of the whole mess. Not the a-hole. Your ex and Haley, on the other hand, are major a-holes. Your children aren't stupid and they see how ugly their dad and stepmom treat you. It will eventually come to bite them both in the butt. My question is why they want to take them to Canada to visit. Wonder if X is trying to get permanent residence for himself and claim he has full custody? I'm wondering if the trip to Canada would be turned into permanent. Bet Haley's family in Canada thinks she's the full-time mother, and OP is out of the picture. It's possible, and him asking for a whole month was a giant red flag to me. Not to mention the fact Haley could fly out on her own, or they both could have pushed. There is zero reason for my kids to leave the country for a month and miss that much school. Not the a-hole. Such blatant parental alienation is a reason to take your ex back to court for 100% custody though. I've taken him back to court over the parental alienation. It doesn't remove his parenting time, but he did lose legal decision-making over it. He was also forced to pay for breach of the court order. Next story. Am I the a-hole for never feeling sad when my dad and his mistress had miscarriages? My dad was cheating on my mom for years without anyone knowing. She got sick when I, 18 male, was 9 and died 4 months later. When my mom was so sick that she was sleeping 99% of the time, my dad became more open about his affair and even had his mistress come over, introducing her to his family and friends. He never introduced her to me formally, but he didn't hide the fact that he was dating her either. When my mom died, he moved her in and married her. I hated both of them for it, but it only got worse when I found out she had been his mistress for most of my life. They met when I was around 2 or 3 years old. It killed me to live with them. Soon after they got married, they started trying for kids. She got pregnant easily, but had many miscarriages. I lost count of how many. She had 2 or 3 late miscarriages as well. And after the second one, I remember her crying on the couch and not leaving the house for weeks. I ignored her, and my dad didn't like that. He told me I should comfort my stepmom, which disgusted me because she wasn't a stepmom, she was a mistress. I said that to him, and he lectured me about staying out of adult business. I told him the miscarriages were adult business, and I was staying out of it. After one of the miscarriages, they sat me down and told me it had happened again and that they weren't sure they could give me a sibling. I had no reaction, and my dad's mistress started crying and asked where my sadness was over the loss of my baby siblings. I told her I wasn't sad and that I never wanted them to have kids together. My dad spent days trying to make me take it back, but I didn't. I was around 13 or 14 at the time. His wife said she couldn't be around me if I was wishing bad things on their babies, so my dad sent me to live with my uncle, my biological uncle, and aunt by marriage. I've lived with them and my cousins ever since, and I've kept only limited contact with my dad. He reached out a few weeks ago and said he and his wife never got to have the baby they wanted. I didn't show any sympathy or pretend to care. He said I still didn't feel sad about the deaths of my siblings, and I told him the truth. I didn't. I said he was a cheater, she was a mistress, and I never wanted them to have a kid together. He called me heartless and said I needed to learn to be human, because babies dying is sad, and those were my siblings whether I liked it or not. He said not feeling sadness was inhuman. I don't think there's anything wrong with me feeling this way. My therapist doesn't either. She told me some of my anger isn't healthy, but not feeling attached to the miscarriages isn't bad. Does it make me an a-hole though? Not the a-hole. They can't force you to feel anything. Clearly they are projecting onto you, and this is something they need to deal with together and leave you out of it. Unfortunately, karma does what it does best. They really should deal with it together or separate even without other people involved. I have no sympathy or positive wishes for them. They both suck as humans. He spent all that time trying to get you to care about the mistress and her feelings. What about your feelings? You are his child, his living child, not some dream he had about knocking up his new girl. He never gave a damn about how you felt. I absolutely don't blame you for not caring about those lost siblings. What a joke. Your dad never grew up in the ways that really matter. Not the a-hole. Your father chose this life. Karma will get them harder once he loses his only child too. It boggles my mind that OP's dad is still trying to bend the reality that he is a filthy cheater, and his son will never accept his cheater girlfriend, much less care about her. Just give it up, man. You're scum, and you've lost your son because you're selfish and oblivious to his feelings. Not the a-hole, obviously. It shows a high level of arrogance to think you can fix things after having an affair and bringing the mistress into your family when my mom was on her literal deathbed. People like him deserve to be miserable and alone. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my niece I can't help pay her college? My younger brother, 42 male when he died, passed away 10 years ago from cancer. He left behind an 8-year-old daughter at the time. About 2 years after his death, his wife remarried and they moved to a different state, taking my niece with them. Apparently, her new stepdad was good to her, and when she was around 14, he adopted her. She took his last name and basically ghosted our family, saying she didn't want anything to do with us anymore. She even kept rejecting my mom, who ended up passing away a few months later due to a heart attack. We all suspect that being rejected by my niece played a huge part in it. After that, we just stopped reaching out because we were honestly angry at her. At that point, she was 15. Not an adult, but old enough to know what she was doing. A couple of months ago, she reached out after years of silence. She asked for her part of my mom's inheritance, and I told her there was nothing left for her, which was true. Everything was left to me and my sister. She got mad and started cursing my late mother, and I told her to shut up and show some respect. She said she was starting college and that her parents were having financial issues, so they couldn't pay for it. She demanded that I pay for her college because it would be only fair, claiming it was her late father's share of the inheritance. I told her she had pushed my brother away years ago, that she had a new dad now, and that I wasn't paying for anything. The inheritance wasn't big anyway, and most of it is already gone, helping with my own children's college expenses. She called me a disgrace and an a-hole, and then tried to guilt my sister into giving her money next. My sister also refused because she isn't well off and had used her inheritance to pay off debt. She's still harassing me for money. Honestly, if she had been genuine and polite about it, I might have helped her out. But after years of disrespecting her late father and our entire family, and now demanding money on top of that, it's too much for me. I don't want to call the police on her out of respect for my brother, but she's really making it difficult. For the record, I'm not rich. I just don't struggle because I've always been good with money. I can't suddenly produce a college fund out of nowhere. I've been saving for my kids since they were born, and the inheritance just helped a little. But to her, that must mean I'm some millionaire. How do I deal with her without involving the police? Is that even possible? She turned her back and moved on away from your family. Her mother should have put some of your brother's estate away for her college. Block her. My brother really had nothing left after his treatments and everything. You don't have a niece. She rejected me and my family years ago, but it's still hard to accept it, I guess. Totally understandable. Kids are stupid, even when they are old enough to know better. Maybe she was manipulated. Maybe she was just a dumb kid who rebelled and wanted to do her own thing. I have nieces and nephews I adore, and it would kill me if I was in your shoes. However, they do need to learn that people who care about you need to be kept in your life. And if you push them away, you can't come back and ask for money without genuinely trying to rebuild a relationship. Not the a-hole. Massively. On top of the emotional divorce, legally in the United States, you most likely do not have a niece. When she was adopted, she most likely lost inheritance rights, unless your mom specified a bequest by name in her will. Please check with a lawyer on this. Good to have your bases covered. On the other hand, step-parent adoption usually does not stop the Social Security benefits, so she's probably been getting that supplement until 18 or graduates high school, but not after 19, which is probably why she's hounding your family now. Last story. My deadbeat dad abandoned 2 more kids, and his ex wants me to help, but I said no. Am I the a-hole? My dad, aka deadbeat, was never very present in my life. He left my mom when she got pregnant with me and tried to sleep with her occasionally, even though she always turned him down. It was the only reason I have any memories of him from the time she was alive. He never cared about me, which is why mom always told him where to go. He built up tens of thousands in child support too, because he refused to pay most of the time and found ways to stop it from being taken directly from him. My mom died when I was 6, and my maternal grandparents took me in. I didn't see deadbeat for several years. Then when I was 10 or 11, he showed up for a minute and asked for a DNA test again. One had already been done when I was a baby to get him on my birth certificate. My grandparents said as long as he paid for the DNA test, he could have one. He left because he wanted them to pay. He showed back up a couple of years ago with a wife and a young kid, and his wife was pregnant. Deadbeat didn't care much that they lived nearby, but his wife was like, "Oh, we're family now, and you should know your siblings." I was like, "Nah, thanks." And she tried to get my grandparents on her side, but they were like, "Nah, thanks." Deadbeat took off on her and those kids 6 months ago. She stayed put and tried to reach out to me for help and for me to form a relationship with her kids. I told her I wasn't helping her and wasn't interested in a relationship with her kids. My grandparents suggested she move closer to her family if she wanted her kids to have more than her. But she didn't, and she keeps reaching out and asking me to play some sort of role in her kids' lives. She also keeps asking me for help. She said even 6 hours of babysitting a week would make a huge difference to her, and that she could better provide for her kids. When I didn't say yes after she asked again and again, she asked me if I was really so indifferent that I wouldn't want to know my own siblings who share my DNA and were dropped just like me. I asked her why she was so sure they were the only ones. I told her he could have a million kids out there, and I just don't care. I said the only DNA that counts for me is my mom's DNA. She asked me how I'd feel if she lost their home and struggled to feed them, and I said it would be sad because kids don't deserve to be hungry, but it would be no more or less sad than it happening to any kid. She said at 17 I'm almost a man, and not turning into a very good one. That's when I blocked her, and I speed walk into the house or away if she approaches me in person. My grandparents told her not to show up again or the cops would be called. So far that seems to have worked. I don't feel bad about it, but I guess it did make me question if maybe some part of me is the a-hole for refusing to help or be in those kids' lives. To me, it seems crazy to go off deadbeats' DNA, but I know that matters to a lot of people. Am I the a-hole? She just wants a free babysitter, not the a-hole. It might not even be just babysitting. She could work up to asking me to pay for stuff when she has me settled in as a babysitter. It's so weird she's chasing me down for this stuff instead of going to her family or friends for help. Maybe her family didn't like deadbeat and warned her about him, so she doesn't want "I told you so." That's my guess. Not the a-hole. It's your choice if you want to help and or be present, and if she's not willing to accept that you don't want to, it's her issue. I understand that she needs help, but it seems weird and may be desperate to reach out to you, and as a young person you have enough to deal with anyway. It makes me think she has no family or friends of her own, or she's on bad terms with them all. Why hang around and try to make me responsible otherwise?